Hi, Jeremy Morgan here, and today we're going to install Linux. Okay, so if you've been curious about Linux and you've wanted to try it, but you don't want to ruin your computer or you don't want to buy a new computer or anything like that, then this is the video for you. This will be a great way for you to get started with Linux for the first time. Now, for years and years and years, you had to either repartition your hard drive or install Linux and wipe out everything on your computer or purchase another hard drive, something like that. Those days are over. Now we can use virtualization. So I actually used to have like stacks of hard drives in my closet with different operating systems on them, and I'd swap them in and out. You don't have to do it that way anymore. So what we're going to do today is we're going to install Linux. So if you're a first-time Linux user, buckle up. We're going to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to download VirtualBox, an ISO, and then install VirtualBox. To start, you'll need to download VirtualBox from the following URL. If you've never used it before or you're unfamiliar with virtualization in general, VirtualBox creates small machines within your PC. So you're running a small computer within your computer, which is exactly where we're going to run Linux. Download VirtualBox and install it on your computer. It's pretty quick and easy. Next, you'll need to download a Linux ISO. An ISO is the image that they used to use to burn DVDs, and this is how we installed Linux for many years. These days, we don't use DVDs as much, but we still use ISOs. I'm downloading Pop! OS as an ISO right now. You can get it at the following URL. So here I have VirtualBox installed and ready to go. Now, I already have virtual machines installed. Yours won't have this. So let's add our new Pop! OS virtual machine. Click on the New button. Now here we need to name our virtual machine. In this next box, we have where the VM is stored. I like to store mine on my D drive, so I'll change this. And then I'll change the type to Linux and set it to 64-bit. Now here's where you give it memory, and this entirely depends on how much memory you have on your host system. I'll give this 8 GB of RAM for now. And it actually doesn't need that much to run. Next, we'll create a hard disk. Now we have some options here. We have do not add a virtual hard disk, which I've never used, or create a new hard disk, or you can use an existing one. I'm going to create a new one. Now here we have a few choices. This entirely depends on whether or not you use other virtualization programs like VMware or something like that. If you're only using VirtualBox, then you can use whichever one of these you like. I'm going to choose VirtualBox Disk Image. Next, you can choose dynamically allocated or fixed size. So if it's dynamic, it will use less space on your hard drive, but it'll expand as it fills up. If you use a fixed size, it will take up that much space on your disk, whether you use it or not, but it will be a little faster. I usually choose dynamically allocated just to save disk space. Next, we're going to create our disk. I'm going to allocate about 30 gigs for this. And now our virtual machine is created, but I'll need to jump in here and make a few settings. The first thing I generally change is CPU. I like to give it more CPUs so that it installs faster, and then I can cut them down later. So I'll do that. Now for storage, this is important. You'll need to add a fake DVD into the drive. This is the ISO that we downloaded earlier. Click this little DVD symbol and choose an optional disk file. And I will select my Pop! OS ISO here. Now finally, I like to change the networking. When you select a bridged adapter, it connects to your host machine, which is the machine that this is running on, and to the internet. That's really all you need to know about adapters for now. I'll click OK, and it's time to start up. Now with Pop! OS and other installs, sometimes you'll get this issue. The screen size is not quite big enough for the installer. So I'll put this into full screen mode. Yet we still don't have enough space. So with Pop! OS, I can go into Activities and click here. And I'll search for display settings so that I can change it. So now we have a bigger display, and we can see the full installer window now. And I'll select English and United States of America. And then English again and English again. There are a lot of customization options here if you need it. At this screen, you can do a custom install. Now this is helpful if it's on your real computer and you want to dual boot with Windows or something like that, but since this virtual machine will be dedicated to just Pop! OS, I'll select Clean Install here. Next, I'll select the hard disk, and this is the virtual disk that we created a minute ago. And I'll click Erase and Install. Now you can encrypt the drive if you want. I don't ever do this with virtual machines because they don't have anything important on them. However, if you're installing this on a real computer, I would suggest encrypting it. It's a good idea. Now it's finished and time to restart the device. Now here I select Shutdown. And the reason for that is some Linux installs will keep the DVD loaded. So if I just select Restart, it will restart and then try to install again. Now select that new machine and click on Settings. It looks like Pop! OS already unmounted the disk, so it's ready to set up. Now click on Start to start it up. Now this very first startup can be a little slow sometimes. And now I have a welcome screen. So I'll click Next. Make sure English is selected again. Now here we have location services. These can be helpful sometimes, but if it's a privacy concern, you can just disable it. And I will select my time zone. Now here you can connect your online accounts if you choose to. This can integrate a lot of things and make it cool, but I generally skip this. And now I'll enter my full name. And I like to remove my last name for less typing. Next, I'll put in my password. And I'm ready to go. Ta-da! That was quick and painless. Now, if we go in here, you can see some common applications that are installed. If you click the rocket, you can find more. And it looks like my screen needs to be reset again. So right-click on the background and select Display Settings. Here you can see a list of cool stuff to install. Now I'll install Visual Studio Code, which is a must-have for pretty much every machine I'm on. So that's all the steps. You're now trying out Linux without wiping out your computer. So hopefully that was easy to understand and easy to go through. And that's all it takes to get things set up. Now I chose Pop! OS because Pop! OS is very easy. It's a good beginner's Linux that I recommend to a lot of people. But there are a lot of different types of Linux out there, and the only way you're going to find out which ones you like the best is by downloading it. So go out there, download some ISOs, build some virtual machines, and try out different kinds of Linux. Now that you see how easy it is, you can mess it up and break it and destroy it, and then just start another virtual machine and do it again. Well, anyway, welcome to Linux. If you like my videos, then please follow me. Thanks.